As you may or may not know, the date has changed to return to Ridglan Farms. It is no longer April 12th, but it is April 19th, and it is finalized. Really quick, I want to share a story with you from a hero, an undercover investigator at Ridglan Farms, a friend of mine and a fellow animal rescuer. Here we go.
The audio clip you're about to hear was obtained from my initial interview at Ridglan Farms.
Euthanasia is humane, and it's better than suffering sometimes. And nice thing here is they don't have pet owners. They just, so there's no, it takes a little getting used to. Oh, why? I don't want to say you gotta be hardened, but you gotta realize what it is. She has 2 dogs at home. I have 3. Almost everybody, not everybody, but almost everybody out there has a dog. Mm-hmm. We all love dogs, but these aren't our pets. We take really good care of them. Right. But you'll see, they're in kennels. They're not on the couch. They're not running around the yard.
So if you were on the fence and you needed one more reason to return to Ridglan Farms with us on April 19th, there it is right there. That's one of the other employees saying that you don't have to be hardened. You just have to turn a blind eye. You have to turn off your emotions. And they take such good care of these dogs there that euthanasia, being put to death, is a better alternative than remaining at Ridglan Farms.
If that clip horrified you, go to SaveTheDogs.io to learn how you can help the Beagle rescue efforts on April 19th. That video was courtesy of Pete Reimann, who's today's guest on Food Heals. On the last episode, I did say that the next rescue efforts would be April 12th, but as Pete shared, that date has changed. So mark your calendars for April 19th if you plan to join us. That's right. I'm going. Since recording this interview with Pete, I have gotten my plane tickets. Ella and I have gotten our hotel room. I will be in Wisconsin to help rescue these beagles, and I hope you'll join us. If this episode moves you, don't just feel something, do something. Come with us, be on the right side of history, and let's put a stop to animal testing and torture for good. And look, if you can't be there in person, there are still so many ways that you can help. Listen to this episode and share the Spotify link with a friend. Post it on social media. Help me amplify the brave work of these activists everywhere. These sweet beagles do not have time for silence. They don't have time for thoughts and prayers. They need action. They need people willing to speak up, show up, and fight for them. At the forefront of this movement is today's guest, Pete Reimann. He was on the ground at Ridglan Farms. I'm Allison Melody, and that's what's next on Food Heals. This is the Food Heals Podcast.
Warning, side effects of this podcast may include increased health and vitality, thoughts of living longer, developing a more positive outlook on life, feelings of joy, cravings for kale and quinoa, and a spike in Tinder matches.
He is a vegan animal activist who helped bring 22 beagles to safety from torture and abuse at Ridglan Farms. And in April, he's going back to rescue the rest. Please welcome Pete Reimann to the show. Welcome, Pete.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
I'm so glad to have you. Yeah. So I want to hear this story. So 6 years ago, you clicked on a video, and the video you clicked on, you were going to make fun of vegans. And that's when everything changed for you. So I'd love for you to take us back to what made you initially passionate about animal activism and veganism.
Absolutely. Before I answer that, one quick correction. It was
Yes.
22. I don't know if you got the update. There was an extra beagle hidden. They were hiding themselves, stowing themselves away under one of the van seats. So it's actually
Oh,
23.
congratulations, and
I
good
know.
for that sweet beagle hiding.
Yeah, I know. I didn't find this out until after I got out of jail, after being incarcerated from this action. So it was really nice news to hear.
I'm
Yeah,
so
certainly.
happy to hear that. And so that
Yeah.
means 7 were taken back, right?
It was 8. There was 31
Okay.
altogether.
Oh, I
8 were
see.
taken back. Remaining 23 are in a safe place.
All right. And we're going back
Yeah.
to get them.
Yes. And the 8 that were taken, arrested by the police, we believe, were brought back to Ridglan.
Yeah.
So,
Horrible.
yeah. So to give you a bit of context on my going vegan story, as you just proposed there, I was operating my own business at the time. There were a few very, very, very slow weeks. I wasn't in the best place this day, and there were no customers coming in. It was a retail shop. There were no customers coming in, and I sort of gave up on my professionalism. I removed myself from behind the counters to introduce myself when customers would walk in, because there were no customers walking in. And I
Okay.
retired to the back lounge area where the TVs were set up. And I said, you know what? There's no one coming in. I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to chill. I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to put on some YouTube. YouTube popped up. I'd never watched any vegan content before, so I'm not sure how this got into my algorithm.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But an Earthling Ed vegan debates meat eater
Yeah.
video pops up in my algorithm. And it's a thumbnail of Earthling Ed and this meat eater. The meat eater's like real buff, jacked looking dude, and Earthling Ed. I'm sure you know what he looks like. Most people watching this know what he looks like. And I
Yep.
judged the book by the cover. Like I said, I had never watched vegan content before. I didn't have any vegans in my life. I had never interacted with veganism or vegans. I thought the animal rights movement or veganism died in the 80s with people throwing fake blood on fur coats in New
Oh,
York
that was all
City.
you knew of it? Okay,
That's
that's
all I knew. I
interesting.
grew up in
Yeah.
Jersey, and I heard about some of that going on in New York City, and I thought it died then. I
Mhm.
didn't know it existed. But I had this preconceived notion in my mind that vegans were pompous, arrogant know-it-alls, holier than thou. And since I was in this sort of lower state, this bad mood, I project it and judged Earthling Ed by the cover, and I said, "What is this pompous, arrogant prick? How is he going to tell me how he's so much better than me?"
Right.
Right. So I turned the video on to sort of make fun of vegans, like for entertainment almost. So you could tell how low of a spot I was in, right? And
Mhm.
immediately, as you know, if you've heard Earthling Ed speak before, very calm, cool, collected, kind, very well thought out.
Yeah.
And I turned the video on to make fun of him and identify with this meat eater, but immediately I switched sides because I quickly realized there was no moral justification to do what I've been doing my entire life and to pay for animals to be abused, used on average 3 times a day for my dollar,
Right.
or because of my dollar. And so at around the 20-minute mark, I was already on Earthling Ed's side by this time. But around the 20 or so minute mark, he posed the final blow. He drew the final nail with me. And he said, "What do you value higher? The life." They were speaking about a chicken in this instance, but Earthling had posed, "What do you value higher, the life of this chicken or your own taste pleasure?" And the meat eater said, "I don't give an F about chickens.
Mm.
I don't give a damn." And I was really moved by that, because that is the epitome of the opposite. I'm not like that. I do care about chickens. I wouldn't try to hurt anybody intentionally.
Right.
And with that, I internalized that question and asked myself, is this why I've been paying for animals to be harmed? Is it due to my own pleasure? And I answered with honesty, and I came to that conclusion and said, well, that's disgusting. Choosing my own pleasure over someone else's suffering is never something that I would consciously do. And now that I'm aware, I have to make a change. So in that minute, around the 20-minute mark, I went vegan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Overnight.
No, in that instant.
Like what I mean is you didn't transition. Some people transition so you're like, I'm done.
That's it. Yeah. I had a little conversation with myself thereafter, and I said, am I really going to do this? And I said, wow, I, this is an epiphany. I'm doing this. I'm vegan. I'll never pay for an animal to be abused on my behalf again. I went home to my fiance at the time, and I told her, and I said, babe, I went vegan, and I told her the reasons why. And I said, what do you think about all this? She's like, well, you do most of the cooking anyways, so I guess I'm vegan by default, and I'll learn more about it.
That's
And it was
great.
about 3 days later. Do you want
Oh,
me to go into my active very quick, cover the activist?
yeah, I want to hear it all.
Okay, so about 3 or so days later, I forced myself to watch the first slaughterhouse footage that I've ever seen in full. I've seen it before, like maybe scrolling through, but paid no mind to it and just
Hmm.
viewed it as propaganda. Swipe, swipe, swipe. But I watched this short film by Paul Bashir, the guy who founded Anonymous for the Voiceless AV, not knowing who he was, or you know, it's called 1,000 Eyes. And if you search it on YouTube, you got to search like "Watch 1,000 Eyes" to find it, because there's several other films or videos called 1,000 Eyes. Anyways,
Okay.
I I watched this 5-minute film, sort of like Dominion or Earthlings, crammed into 5 minutes in my living room on my phone while I was standing. And I started, crying angry, frustrated, sad, and inspired tears while
Mm-hmm.
watching this. And I was so moved. I mean, I felt it in my body. I was tingling. I started to, just I felt my emotions, and I said, I have to do something about this. This is the mess that I've created. So I need to figure out how to help clean up this mess that I've made. And I did a quick Google search. I was in the Atlanta area at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a quick Google search, how to get involved with animal rights or, animal rights activism. And I found an Anonymous for the Voiceless chapter in Atlanta. And they had one happening that weekend. And I went that weekend. And I went out to my fiance. She was outside laying in the hammock. And I said, all right, babe, it's 3 days later now after going vegan, mind you. And I was like, all right, I'm now an animal rights activist. I'm going to be an activist too. And she's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We just went vegan 3 days ago. Are you sure? Like, what do you? And I said, well, will you watch this quick 5-minute film for me? This video. It's really difficult to watch, but will you watch it? And I handed her my phone and I said, I'm going to go inside and let you have, your own space and time
Mm-hmm.
to process. And went inside, and she comes back, like visually shook up, and she says, okay, yeah, I totally get it. And she came to the Cube with me that weekend as well, to the
That's
Anonymous for the Voiceless Cube. So that was it. And that was 6.5, almost 7 years ago now. Yeah.
That's incredible. So 2 vegans were basically made in the span of like 24 hours.
Thank you, Earthing Ed. Yeah.
That's awesome. And that's the power of media. And that's why it is so
Yeah.
important to get this message out there. It is the reason why I do this show, because the animals don't have a voice. So we have to be their voice. And I'm plant-based. I've been vegan. I wasn't overnight, but I went vegan first for the health reasons because I learned about that. And then once I saw that animal footage, I was like, well, now if it had nothing to do with my health, I'll still never go back, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And, I've been a dog owner my whole life. And I have I've had 2 beagles over my lifetime, Charlotte and now Lily. I know you grew up with a beagle too. And so when you make that connection as well, you're like, well, if I wouldn't cause any pain to my sweet angel beagle, why would I absolutely let them hurt an animal for me to eat that is just as conscious as my dog? It doesn't make sense. And so, yeah, I could never, ever go back. But I would love to talk about the rescue at Ridglan. So you were part of this group, and it was led by animal rights lawyer Wayne Shung. And you guys went, and you were talking about that you went and rescued 31, and then they took some back, and you're going back to get the rest. I would love for you to take us through that story. Why Ridglan Farms? Let's start there.
Okay.
What have they been accused of? And then I would love to hear the story of you guys going and what you did.
Okay, so Wayne Shung, not to be totally aggrandizing, what I'm saying is true. He is a once in a lifetime sort of human being. His drive, his confidence level, obviously his intelligence, he's an attorney, is out of this world. And I've always been inspired by his work and admired him. We did a summit with a different animal rights group that I was working with. Last year, we did a summit in DC with that group that I was working with and his newer group at the time, Simple Heart. And I met him there in person. We had, talked online before, but I met him there in person, and we, had some very, deep moments and good conversation. And we discussed a possible open rescue at a different facility concerning some of the work that I've been involved with over the past 3 years. And at the summit, we ran through some training for an open rescue. And I said to him, next time you do an open rescue, please reach out to me. I enjoyed the training here in DC, but I'd like to, show up and get my hands dirty and try one hands-on. So let me know. And so he did. About a month and a half or so prior to this Ridglan rescue, he reached out to me and said, hey, if you can make it, it would really mean a lot. And I said, if I can, last minute, I'll try to do so. And I did. Now, he's one of the founders of DXE as well, Direct Action Everywhere. And one of the things that they do, really their forte, is open rescue.
Mm-hmm.
And with open rescues, what they'll tend to do is do research on a farm, on a facility, and find legal precedents that would allow one to, similar to how in many states, precincts, counties, whatever, there's law written that you can break someone's window, a car window, if you see a dog inside of a hot car.
Right. So it's like
Right?
you're allowed to commit what would normally be a crime if it is to save a life.
Exactly. And then it's not considered a crime, right?
Right.
So that's what they do. They research and they find these legal reasons why one could legally enter a facility, private property, and take an animal who's in harm's way out of that facility. And they've done this dozens of times, right?
And I trust him
And
because he's an animal rights lawyer. He knows the law. He studies it to make sure that he has an argument in order to be able to do
exactly.
this.
Yeah, and a whole team of lawyers that work with him as well. And that's what they do. And they, you know, when arrested, they'll take it to trial and they'll fight it in court to try to then set legal precedents for the next rescue, right? So you have case law to look back on and compare in future
He's basically
trials.
making history.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So, and then obviously Ridglan Farms, Beagles. I mean, I'm a fan of all animals, but Beagles specifically, I grew up with a Beagle. He was the first love of my life. And I showed up and we got it done. We got 23 dogs out of there. So
And
happy to
so
do it, and I would do it again, and I'm going to in April.
So for everyone that's listening and not watching, you guys should watch us on Spotify, but you are wearing, Pete, a Snoopy shirt.
That's right,
And
Snoop merch.
that's so cute. And your first dog was Tracker, a beagle. And yeah, tell us about how I read a story that you wrote online about when you went in to Ridglan Farms and you put a beagle in your arms and what you told that beagle in your head. I would love to hear that story.
Sure. So another two personal reasons for me joining this rescue were, one, my late sister, the only sibling that I had. She passed away some years ago before I went vegan, and I believe she would be if she was still here with us. She was an inspiration for this, and also my childhood dog, Tracker, who was also my sister Jen's dog, right?
Oh.
And so I've told the story a million times, and I try to woosah real quick.
It's okay. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry about your sister.
No, it's okay. So prior to the action, we go through heavy training, and one of the instructions is that, hey, we're gonna try to get as many dogs out as we can. There's not as many of us as there are dogs, right? 2,000 plus at this facility. So it would behoove you to move on to the next cage if a dog cowers in the back of one of their cages and seems like it might be an impossibility or an improbability that you could rescue them, right? I didn't listen to the instructions because the first cage I went to were two dogs and they were circling and spiraling and staying in the back of the cage. And
They
I
were
heard the
scared.
instructions. What is it?
They were scared, right?
Absolutely terrified. They thought I was one of the devils, one of the evil ones that were going to test on them, abuse
Oh,
them. And how would they know any better, right?
how would they know? They've
Yeah,
only known a life of torture and abuse by humans. Why would they ever trust a human, right?
that's it. Well, yeah, I mean, that's why they choose Beagles too, because they are so trustworthy. They so easily forgive.
I know.
They don't forget, but Beagles are one of the most forgiving breeds. So you can abuse them, torture them, be cruel to them, and next day, most of the times they'll walk up to you and wag their tail. That's why they use Beagles.
Oh, that
One of the
breaks
reasons
my
why they use
heart.
Beagles.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I heard the instructions in my head when I peered through this cage, but I didn't listen. And it was just a couple seconds. I gave it a few seconds and I kind of studied their pattern as they circled, with my eyes, and right when the opportunity was perfect, I reached in and grabbed one of them. And he was
Mm-hmm.
a big guy, and I'm 6'2", like 200 and something. I'm a big guy too, and I was squeezing this dog with all my might, and he was trying to climb over my shoulder. He ripped up my lab coat,
Yeah.
and I was beginning to like atrophy because I was squeezing him so tight. I'm like, oh my god, I might lose this dog
Oh,
because of how terrified he was.
yeah.
And as I was getting like halfway to the fence line, there's already some police officers up on the hill coming toward me. Wayne is already up on the hill being arrested. His hands are behind his back. I'm keeping my head down, like, oh, I don't want to lose this dog. I have to give them up to the police if I'm stopped and detained. And I was trying to calm this dog, petting them, talking to them. Nothing I could do would get through.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, whether divine intervention or a mere coincidence, I don't know, but I started calling the dog Tracker, and I started petting them, and I said, it's okay, Tracker, it's okay, I love you, I'm here to rescue you, I'm here to take you to safety. And yeah, and in that moment, it may have just been like my emotions softened perhaps a bit because I was talking to an old friend,
Yeah.
Tracker, and perhaps the dog I had in my arms could recognize that and feel that, but they
Yeah.
immediately calmed down in that moment. And dang it, yeah, I went and got emotional again. Here, 1 second, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay,
I was
forgive me.
up crying all night
Yeah,
watching all of your videos, all of the other activist videos, so I'm totally with you, like, that's why
yeah,
I'm trying to interview everyone I can because your stories were heartbreaking, and I was like, "I can't stand still, I can't allow this to happen, I have to do something," so I really appreciate you sharing your story, and trust me, all of your stories were making me bawl, so thank you so much for being here and sharing with us.
yeah, and thank you for amplifying. Because without the megaphone, no one hears the stories. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So you get the dogs out. Now, how does it work when if someone like you say Wayne was getting arrested and
Mhm.
you're carrying a beagle, how do you get the beagles to safety before you get arrested? How did that work?
So there were commercial vans out on the main street just outside of the farm, and there were cages there set up, and another team there ready to receive the dogs and then drive
Mhm.
them away. So you just keep your head down as you're walking out and hope that you don't get detained because we're nonviolent and we comply with any
Right.
orders, whether unlawful or not. We know we have a legal right to be there, but if an officer had told me stop right there, you're detained, I would have listened. There's no running or fighting the police.
Gotcha.
So luckily enough, I did get the dog that I had to safety, and to one of the vans. Now I'll never really know, and I sort of have a hunch. It was so chaotic in the moment that I think I knew who I recognized the driver of the van, but I don't really. It's
Yeah.
like a false memory because of the chaos.
Yeah.
But I do believe there's a decent chance that I put the dog that I rescued in the van that got pulled over, and those beagles were then retrieved and sent back to Ridglan. I don't know, but I was really upset about that for like the 2 or 3 days uh, after the event. And then we had sort of like this group meeting and sort of like a celebration, everybody to finally like calm down, chill, eat some food, share stories.
Yeah.
And someone changed my perspective on, and it's kind of a selfish thing, like I shouldn't be upset if it was my dog that got taken back. It's the dog, it's not about me, right? Like it doesn't matter who got the dog out. I mean, I had a
No, but
connection with that dog.
of course, I completely relate to this.
Yeah,
I would feel the exact same way. I get it.
yeah, but I shouldn't so much because again, I'm not the victim here. The
Right.
dog is. It doesn't matter who got the dog. But I digress. But someone kind of changed my perspective on the possibility that this dog Tracker in that moment
Yeah.
may have been the one or one of the ones that got taken back. And someone said, because I went after retrieving and putting that dog in the van. I went back onto the property to try to get another dog,
Mhm.
and so I wasn't there to see this, but someone described the scene as while the police were, and there's some video of this, of one of the officers yanking on one of the dogs while they're in the cage, and the dog's claws, their nails
I
are
saw
like,
that.
they're trying to hold on for dear life because they don't want to be pulled out of the cage.
Right. I played that on the last episode of Food Heals,
Okay.
that footage, because I wanted
Yeah, it's
everyone to see how cruel it was that these beagles that were just realizing, I think they knew they were rescued and now someone's
yeah,
pulling them out and they're clinging on for dear life. And it was just heart-wrenching to watch. Please continue.
yeah, absolutely heart-wrenching. But someone said that was there on scene that it was because of some of those dogs that the other vans were able to, they sort of acted as a distraction. They
So
were
the
they were the reason that some of the other vans who held, higher numbers, where we got 23 to safety, which is a
yeah.
higher number than 8. Those animals were able to get away because of the distraction. And I'm like, damn, Tracker, was that you laying your life down on the, like, you would do
Oh,
that, wouldn't you, buddy?
oh my
So I had
God.
another little, like, moment with him, like, did you, lay yourself down as, yeah. So perhaps
Wow.
that was the case, but nonetheless, due to that distraction, the other animals were able to get free. Damn.
It's okay. I'm with you,
Yeah.
man. This is
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for the work that you are doing and that you did.
Hmm.
So a couple of vans get away and save the beagles, and then it sounds like one van was held and beagles were taken out of the van, but then
Yeah.
one dog was hiding, so they didn't get that dog, it sounds like. So that's amazing. So the rescuers got back in the van and they found another dog that was in there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I heard about that when I called my attorney after being incarcerated. I made my call just to let them know that I was there. And that's when I found out. They said, the number went from 22 to 23, and explained someone was hiding under one of the seats. So it was really good news to hear in jail. And I
I
got
mean,
to tell the other people that were there in the holding cell with me. So
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, beagles are so resilient. They're so smart too. Like beagles know how to run and hide. Like if they were not caged, they can run for hours, for miles. They're like so good at tricks and sneak. My dog, I don't know
mm,
about your dogs, but Lily knows so many human words. It's phenomenal.
yeah,
Not just the ones I've taught her. She knows the meaning to words, and it's crazy. I see her reactions sometimes. So even when they're in a cage and they're in these horribly abusive conditions, I bet they know a lot more than their, even abusers would give them credit for. So that sweet angel knew to hide and knew
yeah,
that this is safety. That's pretty incredible.
yeah. They have an amazing voice box as well.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
most dogs just have one bark, right?
Right.
Beagles can howl and
Yeah.
whine and bark. And my dog Tracker, my mom taught him how to say "I love you," and
Oh
it
my
really sounded.
God.
He would go, "Oh,"
Yes.
but it was the same tone every time. It wasn't just
Yes.
you know um, being hopeful. It really sounded like "I love you," and that's funny we're talking about that, because one of the things they do allegedly at Ridglan Farms, I believe this is well documented and part of the criminal animal abuse.
We'll just
Don't
say
quote me on
allegedly
that
to protect ourselves, but there
exactly.
is right
Yeah,
evidence of all of the things we're
yeah, and
talking
I
about.
haven't, it wasn't my action. I haven't studied that. I'm sure Wayne would know better, but they debark many of these beagles
Oh
there.
my God.
So they remove their vocal cords so that when they try to bark and yell for help, they can. It's just more of a blunt, like sound. So
That
they
is
can't. So they
horrifying.
can't use their beautiful voices. Yeah.
That absolutely breaks my heart. Lily uses her voice. She knows how to communicate with me, and I know which howls mean I want food, I want to go outside, I want playtime. Like they're
Yeah.
so communicative. That breaks my heart. And I love this story about teaching the dog I love you. My best friend Debbie, her dog does the same thing. "Aroo-roo,
Hmm.
aroo-roo," and you're
Yeah.
blown away. I haven't taught Lily. I don't think she gets it, but she's pretty good at everything else. But I mean, that is just speaks to the power of how smart these animals are. And I don't want to sidetrack, but if you think about that, then what do you think about a pig who are as smart as a 3-year-old child? And so I know that's why I'm plant-based. I'm vegan. That's why you're vegan.
Mm.
But I want to continue with the story. So you get the beagle into the van, and then what happens? The police come and they arrest you. How was that? Was it peaceful? Was it scary? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
No, so got the beagle in the van, waited for my team lead and the rest of my team as they were walking down the hill towards the vans. I walked up, met them, asked my team lead, "What are we doing?"
Mm-hmm.
We sort of joined a larger group with another team lead, and we decided we were going to go back and try to, even though police were everywhere, we were going to go back and try to rescue more dogs, because that's why we were there.
Yeah.
And so we all went back as a now smaller group, and the police blocked all of the entrances to the actual building
Okay.
and asked us to leave. We said we had a legal right to be here under Wisconsin law. And they said, "Leave right now, or you're going to be arrested for trespassing." Again, we said we have a legal right to be here. Why don't you make an arrest on the people who are guilty of, who have evidence against them of criminal animal abuse? Why don't you please help us in helping the dogs?
Yes.
And we all remained very respectful. The police did as well. A lot of them made remarks. "I'm glad you're here. We don't agree with this either." It was very obvious that this was a stain on their community. We got support from the police, but they still had a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, they have to listen to the chain of command, the higher ups, and they just didn't have the orders to do what we wanted them to do or what the dogs wanted them to do, unfortunately. So they finally said that they were going to give us a cite and release.
Okay.
They were going to cite us for trespassing. They'd give us a piece of paper, and then we would have to leave. And we said, "You can cite us, but we're still not going to leave. We're not leaving without the dogs. That's why we came here."
Right.
And after hours of deliberation, 20 something degrees, whatever it was, sleeting, snowing, raining, I believe they were kind of trying to wait us out because it was so horrendously cold and wet. And
You're waiting them out and they're waiting you out.
Yeah, exactly. So they finally decided, and they came with a larger team of police with a bunch of zip ties and placed us all under arrest. We all complied, put our hands behind our backs, and they zip tied us and took us in and booked us.
How many people were arrested?
23 in that group. There were another 4 that were pulled and separated. Wayne and some others, Alexandra, the former Baywatch
Yes.
actress. So 27 in total, I do believe.
So I've been on the Zoom calls with Wayne, and I'm in the WhatsApp groups now that I've heard all about this. And I know, with the arrest, that Wayne has kind of the law on his side and everything like that behind him. But what risks do you face if let me back up. So what I learned on the calls is there are different teams. So there are some teams that are red team that go in and get the beagles, and they're more at risk to get arrested, where there are other teams, green and yellow teams, that stand on the outside. Maybe they're filming or driving or helping just to talk to the police and things like that. That's my understanding, and please tell me if I'm wrong. So you, as a red team member, tell me about the red team risks. And this is an ask because I want to educate people, but also a selfish ask because I'm pretty sure I'm going to the next one, and I'm not going if I'm not red team. So.
Yeah. That's funny. My mom, although she's dealing with my dad and some physical ailments, some medical issues right now, so she's not exactly sure. But my mom's also a vegan and an animal rights activist.
Amazing.
And she would like to go, and she also said the same thing. "I'm not going to go unless I can be red team because I want to get one of those poor angels out of there." So yeah, you're exactly right. There's different levels of risk. Red team being the highest, yellow sort of in the middle, green minimal to absolutely no risk. Just
they stand on public property, so they can't even be cited, right?
Yes. And at this
support.
one, we hope to 20 times it, right? So we hope there's 1,000, 2,000 people there. And the green team will act I mean, obviously this isn't up to me, so don't take everything I say with a grain of salt, but I believe Green Team will act sort of just as protesters. There might be some signs and banners, and there might be some chanting or speak outs, that sort of thing on public property. That'll sort of be the Green Team's role, just to stand there and be a body of support. And then, yeah, Yellow Team sort of has the option whether they want to risk arrest, and Red Team is taking on all of the risk, right? So we are fully under the premise that we're acting within the color of law. We are going in and we are removing animals from harm's way, which is going to put us at risk for arrest, right? And we're going to keep trying to go back and get all of the animals out until we are unlawfully or lawfully stopped by the police. Yeah.
So how long were you in custody for?
So from the time of detainment at Ridglan Farms until my release was about 7 hours, but I was in jail for 2 hours or so.
Okay, that's
Maybe a
not
little bit
bad.
less.
I'm like, I can
Yeah.
handle that. I know it's not,
Yeah.
it can be the same every time, but I know, so they took your phone, you never got your phone back. Tell me
No.
about like, what's this experience? You get fingerprinted, they take your photo, they take your stuff. Like, what if they take your cameras? Cause I'm like, we're there to film, so I don't want
Yeah.
them to take the footage. I would love to hear more about like, what do they take and how do you get around that?
Yeah, sure. So if you're there as press, press was sort of in and out. There were a few, with larger cameras, like cumbersome cameras. They were in, they got the footage, they left before, some of them before police even arrived.
So
But
press are not arrested, but you guys are filming too. I saw a lot of Red Team with cameras, right?
Yeah, which is the First Amendment, right? We're all press as American citizens.
Absolutely.
Our freedom of press. It's one of the 5 tenets of the First Amendment.
Yes.
So, yeah, so they took our phones and they didn't tell us until after being booked, incarcerated, booked, and then released. I'm like checking all of my belongings, and I'm like, hey, my phone's not here. Oh yeah, we're keeping those. And Wayne has had his from other actions. He's had his kept for, up to 2 years until the trial fully came to fruition, was over. And that's what they may do. So yeah, my phone was seized, kept as evidence. Unfortunately, I didn't bring any like physical credit cards or debit cards with me because I was afraid of, possibly losing them while I was there. And I really should have just left my phone at home at the place we were staying at. But I wanted a way to communicate in case I was separated, that kind of thing.
Right.
But I mean, it's an open rescue. Go ahead, have my phone. Check my phone for anything you want. You're not going to find anything in there that I'm not going to say right now here on camera or to you if you ask me. And it's an open rescue. We're not trying to hide anything.
Right.
It's just an inconvenience. I didn't have my Apple Pay, my digital wallet to pay for anything after arrest. I couldn't buy any food. I couldn't order an Uber. I couldn't book a flight back home.
We rely on our phones for everything. That would where's the nearest Apple store in Dade County, Wisconsin, right?
Yeah, it's kind of gross how reliant I am on my device. But yeah, I couldn't get anything done. I couldn't communicate, couldn't pay for anything, couldn't book flights. It was tough. Luckily I backed everything up on iCloud, and I'll be able to recover most of that. But yeah.
But it's still an expense.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So will you bring a dummy phone next time? Like, I'm thinking like, don't bring my phone, but bring a phone that I have the contacts I need. I have signal and it can record video. And if it's taken, at least I still have my phone to go to the airport and do all the things.
Yeah, a $50 to $100, phone, backup phone is what I should have done.
Okay.
I have to have an iPhone because everything's in the cloud and that kind of thing. So yeah, I had to shell out another $600 and something to buy a used older model phone while still paying on this, Verizon 36-month contract that I'm locked into on this phone that the police now have. I still have to pay on it monthly and come out of pocket buy a used one. Yeah, it's a whole debacle, but I mean, first world problems, right? Like
I know.
I'm so privileged that's my issue.
Right. It's just going to save the Beagles.
Yeah.
So, what are the risks? Okay, so you get arrested. Now, will this go to trial? Do you know yet? What are the next steps?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know, right? we don't know if other charges are going to be slapped on us. Obviously, we're going to try to take all of it to trial and see it through to the end. I mean, and show the jury that we did have a legal right to be there,
And
and
what
hope that
jury is
reasonable.
going to go against you guys? I just can't imagine.
I can't imagine either. Yeah, right. In a country where we won't hold politicians and powers that be and corporate leaders accountable for pedophilia.
Right.
They're arresting kind citizens who are rescuing beagles. I couldn't imagine a system, a jury, a judge. Yeah, yeah, it's unfathomable. So we'll see how it goes, but we'll take it all the way to the end with the trial. And that's for the team of lawyers to keep an eye on and keep track of. My court date is May 14th. I'll have to. I mean, it may be digital as well. It might be a Zoom room for court. I
Zoom.
don't know, or I may have to buy another flight and go back to Wisconsin again for the third time, because I'll be going back there in between, right? In April.
Right. You might get
So
arrested again.
yeah, I might. So we shall see, but I'll leave that up to the team of amazing attorneys that we have, and the other amazing colleagues of mine that are prepared to take this to trial just like I am and see it through, and hopefully change the entire system for other non-human animals and other humans who might take this sort of thing on themselves and rescue other animals.
Well, and the whole thing is that this eventually is inevitably going to change policy
Mhm.
and not allow these innocent, sweet animals to be tested on, and not only tested on, but abused. I
Yeah.
know I've seen the behind the scene, or not behind the scenes footage, but I've seen the footage from some documentaries that are coming out and exposing this, of the whistleblowers who went and pretended to get a job at Ridglan Farms, and the abuses that they witnessed and participated in is unfathomable. And
Yeah.
I won't terrify everyone. I played a little bit of a clip on the last episode and I couldn't even take it. I had to go take myself off camera, have a moment. I had to stop the show. Luckily I wasn't live, and like go have a moment because I couldn't even take what I was watching. So I apologize, Food Heals Nation, for even playing that. And I didn't even play the whole clip. I was just like, I want everyone to know that if you think this is bad, it's even worse than this. And
Yeah.
so if you want to find out, you can. It's very easy to find out. I put in, and I will, as on this show as well, in the show notes of all of the people, such as yourself, Pete, that they can follow to find more information.
Mhm.
Let's talk about the next one. So it looks like the date did change. What is the new date that everyone is going back to Ridglan Farms? And if someone is listening and they're like, I want to go back, and you don't have to risk arrest. You can be green team and you can just be a supporter. You can also support by writing the people we need to write, calling the people we need to call, which
Mhm.
I've also put in the show notes as well. But what's the next rescue, and what can we do if we want to participate?
Yeah, and donating and sharing stories and posts on social media.
Yes.
Those are ways that you can help as well. April 19th. So it changed from April 12th to April 19th. And there were several reasons for that change, but I think that will give people who are interested a little bit more time to plan and get there. But that is the new tentative date, April 19th. People plan to return to Ridglan Farms. They had 30,000 plus new signatures, new signups for people that are wanting to get involved in these sorts of actions
That's
after the
incredible.
first rescue, which is
Yeah.
crazy number, 30,000 people. And luckily and another reason why I wanted to take part in this action, why I think it's so important, is because it is dealing with dogs, which dogs, as we kind of already talked about, transcends vegan, non-vegan, political ideology. It just doesn't matter. Most people are just dog lovers, or at the very least see them as deserving of autonomy and the right to life and the right to be left alone, right? So I think dogs are a great Trojan horse leading into compassion towards all.
Yeah.
um so yeah, April 19th. I hope there's 2,000 plus people. I hope there's one person at least for every dog that remains, which is 2,000 plus. So I hope one person for every beagle that remains at Ridglan Farms shows up in support, whether you're, again, green team, yellow, or red. It would be just an amazing sight to see. I think Wayne pointed this out on his website, savethedogs.io, how there's
Hmm.
only so much room to lock up so many individuals
I think
in
there
the
was
entire
room for
county.
800 inmates. So if there's 2,000
Yeah.
people, they can't arrest 2,000, right?
I mean, they could, but what are they going to do? So it's
Where are we
just a
going to
whole,
go?
yeah. And the real hope is that someone in the powers that be in Dane County are listening to this, or listening, following this action, and they do the right thing. Get the dogs out before anyone comes back, right? Do the right thing. There is legal precedence for you to remove those dogs. There are hundreds of counts. There's evidence of felony animal abuse. They debark them. They cut parts of their eyes out
Right,
without any anesthesia.
right,
Uh, there's whistleblowers that have said there are puppies that have been shoved into plastic bags and thrown in the trash. I mean, there's literally hundreds of counts. And this is not just like activists saying this, like saying, bad, you're mean to animals. These
right.
are the legal scholars. These are judges who have signed off on this sort of thing. So Dane County officials, just do the right thing and get those dogs out of there before members of the public have to take matters into their own hands. Yeah.
And yeah, that would be the best case scenario is we
Yeah.
don't even have to go because we raise so much awareness that they let them go. They do something, they change the policy. And my other question was that I forgot to ask earlier is where do the rescued beagles go once they are rescued?
To loving homes, they are immediately looked at by, um, they immediately get veterinary care, and any issues, ailments that these dogs have or present are documented so that we can show what we're dealing with here. And they are adopted out to loving homes that are well vetted to make sure that these animals are going to live happy, free for the rest of their lives. And that's what helps me sleep at night, knowing that the 2,000 plus beagles remain at Ridglan Farms and all of the other animals around the world right now on the bloody kill floors of slaughterhouses. It helps me to sleep at night knowing that these 23 are in heaven, you know,
Yeah, I
and that's
love
what they all
that.
deserve. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, I think once this starts to get big enough and the policies do change, it'll happen in our lifetime. And then what will become absolutely inevitable is they'll have to change the factory farming model too. I truly believe that. So I think this is like just a step on this incredible change that is going to happen that we will see. I don't know if it's going to be the next 20 years. I hope not longer, but I absolutely can see it happening because the awareness is raising fast. And now, like you said earlier, with the social media, we have the ability to reach millions of people from one video, from one podcast episode, right?
yep.
And so that can change a lot of hearts and change a lot of minds. And just like when you first watched that Earthling Ed video and it changed you forever, I first read this book, Skinny Bitch, and it changed me forever. And it was just, one person putting out their content and it changed our lives. And now we're able to change and help others. So I
Mm-hmm.
love the work that you do. And before we wrap up, I want to talk about a couple of other things. First of all, you have the True Cost Project,
Mm-hmm.
and I would love for you to just tell us a little bit about what that's going to be.
Sure. So that's a new nonprofit that I am leading. We have a wonderful support team right now of some amazing students and attorneys on the support team. We're working on a campaign that we haven't fully presented to the public yet, but we've been working behind the scenes for a little less than 2 months against a certain university that houses primates for vivisection.
Can you
So
tell us what vivisection is?
sure, animal testing, right? Testing on animals, and these are macaque monkeys, and they have horrible things done to them.
Hmm.
And as we know, like in the case of the beagles at Ridglan Farms, there's only like a 10% the efficacy rate. 90% of it is a failure. It doesn't translate to humans. So that's their typical defense is,
Right.
we're doing the right thing here. We're
We're going to
helping
cure
humans.
cancer. No, you're
Yeah,
not.
they're not. It's a 90% failure rate.
Right.
It's only 10%. You can use human tissue. You can use computer models. Human tissue that's lab grown. You can
Right.
use computer models, and it's way better results. It's cheaper, and it does no harm.
There's
So,
no reason in 2026 to use an
well,
animal for testing,
there
right?
is because allegedly Ridglan Farms makes $30+ million a year. I don't know if that number is exactly correct, but that's the reason. That's a
That's the
very
reason.
good reason if you're corrupted by
Right.
monetary gain,
Right.
right?
Yes.
But you couldn't give me the world to treat someone that way. Give me the entire world and I'll turn it down. You know?
Exactly.
So, but yeah, I agree with you, right? Philosophically, but unfortunately, there's evil out there, and
Right.
evil is easily bought.
I guess
So
there's go ahead.
yeah, no, you go. You guess there's.
I
Sorry.
don't know. No, I'm just saying, like, yeah, there's no moral or philosophical reason to do it. Just the same way that now that we have cultivated meat, and that's going to
Ah,
absolutely, I hope, take the world by storm once more
I
people go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of a hot take, a controversial thing to talk about, the lab grown meat.
Yeah.
But I think that is going to do more good for, to get us towards a vegan world than anything we're really doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think the main competitors in the industry, the politicians that are downgrading it right now, like the governor of Florida, how he's made it illegal. I, I think the big companies like Tyson and Smithfield and all of these major producers of animal flesh products, once this is scalable
Yep.
to this lab grown meat, they're going to adopt that sort of model. They're going to
They're
use it because there's more profit, right?
Yeah, as
And
soon as
then
they understand that, it's gonna make them
yeah,
more money and it's going to
yeah,
cost them less, they're gonna
yeah,
be all in and they're gonna change their tune
yeah,
very
exactly.
quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll cannibalize their own industry. I can just hear it now. When Tyson adopts it first, they're going to be like, these disgusting animal abusers over at Smithfield still use real animals. We use lab grown meat, and
Eh,
it's backed by the politicians saying that
yep.
it's healthy. And yeah, so I digress once again, but yeah,
No,
I'm
no,
looking
that's why I
forward
brought
to
it
that.
up because I think
Yeah,
it's very similar to the, and it's like, okay, once we go from we're not testing on animals anymore, then also people are going to realize we're not doing factory farming anymore. And the media spin is going to be finally in our favor. But even if it's them for the money, I don't care because at least the
yeah,
animals are not being slaughtered, abused, and tortured. So
sure,
great. Great.
exactly.
Like I always say with the pharmaceuticals and all that, it's like follow the money. Well, wait until the money changes, and so it's on in our favor for them. They'll make more money by using cultivated meat and not testing on animals because there are other ways to do this that they can make money. So that's what we have to show them. While
Yeah,
we're appealing to all of the humans out there like us, like why this is terrible, we also need to appeal to those big corporations and companies because they're still in charge, unfortunately. So once we
yep.
appeal to them and they realize this is going to make them profit, then they'll change their tune. Can't wait.
Yeah, and show me the money. That's sort of one of the mottos of the True Cost Project, my nonprofit.
Yeah.
Show me the receipt is one of our mottos, and that's what we're going to highlight and focus on strategically.
Yeah.
And following the money, I think is what you said.
Yeah.
Tax subsidized animal abuse. That's what I want to focus on. That's what I want to go after, and we will remain strategically and tactically agnostic. So whatever tools we need to use, we're going to use them. And right now, we're going to focus on that primate vivisection laboratory.
Okay. Well, I love that. And I will
Mhm.
put the link to that in the show notes. I know you're still working on it, but that's a very
Yeah.
exciting. We need more organizations like that doing this type of work. So thank you. And you're also raising money to send yourself back in April. So it is a costly thing. Let's see,
Mhm.
plane tickets, um, hotels, a dog sitter, like all of the things,
Yeah.
food, all of the things you need. So you are raising money to go back. I know you went out of pocket last time, but how can people support you in going back and rescuing more beagles?
Sure. So that link I sent you, it's not GoFundMe, it's Give Send Go.
Give,
It's a
send,
link
go. Yeah.
for Give Send Go.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm putting it at $2,000, to sort of make up for the cost, the loss of my phone, having to buy a new one,
Yeah.
and if I can get a bit excess, then I can use the excess money to then provide support to another activist in the
Yeah.
area that I live and bring them out there, someone who can't afford it. So yeah, 2,000 would put me just at around that mark to be able to do that and help someone else with a plane ticket, maybe.
Yeah, that's great. So
So
for anyone listening, you're like, I want to get involved. I can't go because of whatever reason, no problem. Like that's something you can do. You can donate for Pete to go back. There are so many
yeah.
people that, I'm in the WhatsApp group and all of these people are like, I'm coming. I just lost my job. Can anyone help? And it's like, start a GoFundMe, like
Yeah.
do something because there are people who want to help but can't go who are willing to do that for you. So
Hmm.
I love that so much. Pete, is there
Yeah.
anything that we haven't covered today that you want to make sure that we cover?
No, I would just say that if you're listening to this and you are moved by any of this, that this is your moment. You can take action. You can help in whatever capacity you can help and make the world a different place. If not for all 2,000 plus beagles remaining at Ridglan Farms, for one of them. And to that one, that's their entire existence, and it means the entire world to that one. So please take action in whatever way you can. Please, if you can, we don't need to recruit. People are reaching out to this group to return. But if you can, you show up. If you can't, support in any other way. Share this podcast. Post on your own social media. Donate, support. Go to savethedogs.io to learn more. Support Wayne and his efforts, and go vegan as well. If you haven't already, and it moves you concerning beagles, like you and I have already discussed, it should move you no matter what species we're talking about here. So maybe use this as your jump off point. Be inspired.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love what you said. There's that quote, to the world, you may just be one person. To one person, you may be the world. So to the world,
Hmm.
you may just be one person, but to a dog, you could be the world. You could save
Yeah.
their life. And, vegans, we save 365 animals a year, I believe is the statistic. So,
Hmm.
go by just opting for a plant-based meal rather than a meat meal, then you're saving one animal. So if you think about that,
Hmm.
it's like you can have this cumulative effect on the world. Stop factory farming, help stop animal testing. Like you said, savethedogs.io is where you can get more information about this rescue, about the work of Wayne, excuse me. You're on Instagram. I follow you for Pete's Sake Official, so everyone can go there, follow you
Hmm.
there, and get all the updates. And then I know your pages, I believe, are in your bio as well, and I'll put all the links in the show
Sure.
notes too. Cool.
That's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Pete, for the
Thank
work
you.
that you do and for being here with me today.
Thank you as well. I appreciate it so much. Thanks for having me on.
Side effects of this podcast may include increased health and vitality, thoughts of living longer, developing a more positive outlook on life. In rare cases, people have experienced a strong desire to actually start using their $39.99 a month gym membership. If you experience any of these symptoms, Snapchat your trainer immediately.